Welcome back, DPReview TV viewers. Chris Nichols here. Today we've got a nice, quick, short video. We're going to play with the Tamron 20mm F2.8. We've got a great location to do it. Now, as you may be able to see on video, it is a frozen wasteland or winter paradise, however you want to look at it, but it's cold. So the good folks at Eau Claire Distillery here in Turner Valley, Alberta, have been kind enough to let us shoot inside where it's nice and warm. We might even get some vodka, some gins, and some whiskeys. So the Tamron 20mm, it's the Di3 OSD lens. It is weather sealed, which is nice. Very lightweight, absolutely. So very compact to throw in a camera bag as well. 67mm filter thread. And what's really going to stand out on this lens is not only do we have an affordable 20mm range, but also that it gives us a 1 to 2 macro close-up capability. So I'll be playing with that quite a bit today. So we did our usual res test. We've got a nice flat surface here. We're shooting both center sharpness at 2.8 and at 5.6. And then we're going to shoot the corners, focusing specifically in the corners at 2.8 and 5.6. Now, the first thing I want to mention, this Tamron 20mm has quite a bit of distortion. I've shot a lot of shots here where you can see the distortion uncorrected, and then with correction, of course, it does improve. However, in the centers, we're getting really good sharpness at 2.8, even 5.6. It looks very good. And when it comes to the corners, the problem really is the distortion because, you know, turning distortion correction on is absolutely going to be essential on this lens. Distortion is pretty severe, but of course it's going to give you that smeared soft effect in the corners, and even stop down, I'm not getting great sharpness there. So we're going to talk about Loca, and we're also going to talk about bokeh on the Tamron 20mm 2.8. And honestly, these are kind of what I would categorize as weaknesses on this lens. So first off, when it comes to Loca, you can see here we're getting pretty clear cyan and magenta fringing, and it's fairly strong. And again, you know, it might not bug you in certain shots, but it is going to be very hard to remove. Now, when it comes to bokeh, we're getting quite a bit of mechanical vignetting, even as we get more to the central parts of the frame as well. Although the bokeh is enhanced by the fact that we can get so close physically with this lens, I do still find that it's a little bit busy, you know, not the cleanest bokeh. And even stop down, we're getting a fairly polygonal shape in our round highlights. Now, a standout on the Tamron 20mm 2.8 is going to be that 1 to 2 macro reproduction. Now, you do have to get physically close. I mean, 1.5 inches away. There's cases where I actually have to take the hood off just to make that work and not block the light. It does give you that very interesting perspective where the background falls far, far away. Keep in mind you have to get physically close. This isn't going to be great for insects or bugs. You'll want a telephoto macro for that, but it does give you some versatility, and I can see some really neat flower shots, you know, fields of wildflowers, or, you know, in this case, getting really close and getting that nice fall off. And it does let you get very soft bokeh, very thin depth of field out of an ultra wide angle lens, which is often counterintuitive. So I do like this feature. It does give something unique to the Tamron 20mm. Now, one thing that we found with this whole series of Tamron lenses is that focusing speed is not the paramount feature. They're a little slow to focus, although to be fair, it's not as critical on an ultra-wide lens, you know? I mean, your depth of field is going to be pretty extensive, and I just don't find that it was a really big detriment, although I can certainly see if you're trying to shoot more portraits with a portrait range or something, it might be more of a problem. However, I will say that the manual focus throw is like a world trip journey around it, okay? It takes forever to kind of focus from close to infinity. And I could also see it if you were trying to focus on something close and then go to something far, the camera would take its sweet time getting there. Now, another problem that you're going to find when it comes to focus, Jordan's going to absolutely not like this in video terms, is that this lens does have quite a bit of breathing. So when you do focus close to far, your focal length changes quite a bit. You can see here in this example that my background is zooming in and zooming out as I focus. So that's not going to be ideal for a lot of video work. Okay. Are we level? Am I level? I don't even know anymore.
They're very generous pourers.
They're very generous pourers here at Eau Claire Distillery. As usual, we decided to test Sunstars here, and you know what, F16, I'm not blown away. I mean, they're a little messy, kind of broad stars. Of course, it does depend on how large the light source here, as you can see, but overall, okay, average, not great. So while we were here, we did a few environmental portraits, and of course, 20mm is pretty extreme to do environmental portrait. I'd normally go with something more like a 24mm, but as long as you keep your subjects in the center, don't get too close to those edges, it does okay. Get close, you can do some interesting stuff, but keep those subjects central as much as possible. So everyone here is heading out now to get home, and so we're going to wrap things up here as well. And you know, my impressions of the Tamron 20mm 2.8, absolutely convenient, lightweight. I like the close-up. In the center, it is actually a very sharp lens. I'm finding really good results with resolution. It's just the corners that get a little bit wonky. But otherwise, the other characteristics of this lens are, you know, fair to middling. But overall, I think if you had something like a 28-75 on a Sony A7 III, this would make a lot of sense. You know, get that 20mm, get that interesting perspective, that wide angle, without spending a lot of cash or carrying a lot of weight around. But if you already had a 24-70, this is pretty close. You know, 20mm for me is a little bit wide for landscapes, although you could certainly crop. And for astrophotography, I think you want something with a wider aperture. And that brings me to the Sony 20mm 1.8. Now, this lens is brand new, but so far it's being reviewed as optically almost perfect. And so I think there's a distinct advantage there over the Tamron 20mm 2.8, albeit though at a way higher price tag and much heavier physical lens. So, you know, consider which way is going to be more important for you. I do think the Tamron 20mm gives you versatility at a very good price, and it does give you awesome close-up capabilities. So of course, Twitter, Instagram, please check those out. Subscribe to the channel. Go to dpreview.com. There's actually a couple sample galleries that'll be up for this lens. You can see some samples for yourself. And if you do find yourself here in Alberta and you're in the Turner Valley area, please check out Eau Claire Distillery. I know that we brought some spirits home for us personally, and there's a lot of amazing stuff here to check out. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you very soon on Deep Review.